This is BBC World News. I'm Matthew Ambrose-Waller. On today's Global, in the last hour, Nancy Pelosi, the US House Speaker, lands in Taiwan at the start of a hugely controversial visit. Despite multiple warnings from Beijing, the third highest ranking official in the US government arrives in Taipei. US and Chinese warships are in the region, heightening concerns of a military confrontation.
We are closely following the itinerary of Speaker Pelosi, and if the US continues down the wrong path, we will take strong and resolute measures.
This is the scene live in Taipei, where Nancy Pelosi is expected to arrive at her hotel. Our other main story on today's programme, the leader of Al-Qaeda is killed by a US drone strike in the Afghan capital. Ayman al-Zawahiri masterminded the 9/11 attacks with Osama bin Laden. Indians living in remote villages in the Himalayas are facing a water crisis. We bring you a special report looking at what the government is doing to help. And also in the programme, Princess Charlotte joins the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge at the Commonwealth Games, where the first day of track and field athletics gets underway. Welcome back to BBC News, and let's go back to that breaking news, because Nancy Pelosi, the US House Speaker, has just arrived in Taiwan for a hugely controversial visit. China has ratcheted up military activity around Taiwan ahead of the trip, Beijing repeatedly warning the US would pay the price for the visit. Taiwan is a self-ruled island, but it is claimed by China, which sees it as a breakaway province. The visit is not being backed by the White House. Well, let me show you the pictures of the start of this visit. Only about 30 minutes ago, you see Nancy Pelosi just taking the first steps down from that plane, starting this visit, and almost immediately she made her first steps on land. There were tweets from Beijing condemning this visit and that repeating the line we had heard multiple times in the last week or so, advising the Americans against the trip, but Nancy Pelosi going ahead with it. She first spoke about going to Taiwan back in April, then contracted COVID, so it was postponed. But in recent weeks, the speculation has mounted, but it had never been confirmed. But those are the pictures at the start of the visit. Now she's expected to arrive at her hotel in the last few minutes. We saw her leaving the airport, but these the live pictures, and apologies for the pictures flicking around and the cameras flicking around, because I think the convoy has just arrived, and you can see those journalists scrambling to get closer, to get pictures. A huge presence there, as you can see, in terms of the world's media, just approaching that convoy as the House Speaker arrives at the hotel. She's already been speaking or tweeting about the visit, saying this visit is in no way a contradiction to long-standing United States policy. She's talked about America's solidarity with the people of Taiwan being more important today than ever before, and said earlier, our discussions with Taiwan's leadership will focus on reaffirming our support for our partner and on promoting our shared interests, including advancing a free and open Indo-Pacific region. But the various tweets we've seen from Nancy Pelosi, and I'll put those on the screen because all the while on our website that is being updated, but the US House Speaker already laying out why she's actually making this trip. And of course she will meet with Taiwan's president tomorrow, we know that as well. And of course huge scrutiny now in terms of what Beijing does. There were many warnings about what would happen. One remembers last week that phone call between President Xi and President Biden, where President Xi told Joe Biden that those that play with fire will get burned. So very clear in the warnings, and we were talking and showing you the pictures there of some of the military activity. But all eyes now in terms of what happens and what response we will get now this visit has started from Beijing. But those some of the latest tweets, some of the latest pictures and some of the latest lines on that breaking story. And let's take you straight back to Taiwan, show you the latest pictures, because Nancy Pelosi's convoy in the last few minutes arriving at her hotel after landing in Taipei, and of course the start of this visit already condemned by the Chinese. Word in the last few moments from Taiwan's presidential office saying the president will meet Nancy Pelosi at the presidential office on Wednesday morning before having lunch with her. And the office also saying through this visit Taiwan hopes to deepen the Taiwan-US partnership and maintain peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific region, with Nancy Pelosi pressing ahead with this trip. She had indicated she'd wanted to go right back in April. Only recently Joe Biden saying this was not the right time to make this visit, and of course multiple warnings from Beijing not to actually go ahead with it, but go ahead she has, and this visit kicking off there with a huge amount of scrutiny and focus. So plenty more on that trip here in the next few minutes.